Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I'm gonna show you 3 creative ways to use return and send in Ableton Live. So let's jump into it. Now there is one way I like to use return, and it's basically to have kind of weird effect of my return. And what I will do is I will have some element of my track that I will from time to time in a more spontaneous way send on the return. So this is a classic technique used in dub a lot. Basically here I have on this track echo, which is a delay, and basically to have dub delay you just need to filter your delay. Now obviously you can experiment a lot, you don't need to follow exactly, and yeah, that's the main thing. With quite a long feedback most of the time. I also like to modulate the filter with LFO, so like this your filtering is evolving with time. And so what I will do is I will just send from time to time a portion of the signal to this return. You see you have this track which already have like delay and reverb is on one, and then from time to time, because you can hear it's a pretty long delay, so you don't want to leave it too long because otherwise it's just gonna create a layer which is too compact. So it's just from time to time. Now I'm talking about dub delay as is kind of the classic way to use return. I'm gonna show you different example of delay if you wanna copy the parameter, which sounds slightly different. So maybe with a longer feedback, different rhythm, different delay time, you can hear. So yeah, pretty nice. So like I said, you can use like in a spontaneous way, or if you're planning to leave it like the send always on, maybe choose a send that is not playing that often, because otherwise you're gonna just like send in the return is gonna just create layer of feedback delays and can get pretty messy. Now the second type of return I like to do is this kind of washout effect. So what I mean by washout is kind of a quite noisy, washy reverb, like very messy, and the idea is to just send off some of your track or the whole track that's gonna create an increasing volume of noise and reverb, which gonna become SFX, and it's gonna get this rising effect, which can help build the tension. And then when you stop sending, you will obviously have the tail of the reverb fading out, and that can be considered also as effect. So this I will use it sometimes just on one track or two like hat, but I like to use it on the whole arrangement. And I'm gonna show you here. I have this is my mix down, and you can see here I have automation to the washout return, and you're gonna basically hear, if I'm just soloing the washout, how it sounds. Okay, this kind of very cavernous effect. So for that you need a long reverb with a long decay. Pretty much you can go even more dry wet. It's up to you. Maybe increase the diffuse, and then you can play with the size for different color. Then the thing is with that is great to kind of compress it a little bit. So that's why I use drum bus to compress, and to crunch is gonna add a bit of mid-high harmonic. So now it sounds more like this. Just mixing a bit louder. I have also a shifter because that can be interesting if you wanna pitch it, especially down. You get something a bit darker. You can use it even as creating a dark ambience even. You could also automate the fine if you want a rising washout. The more you send, the more you get washout, pitch it. And then pitch it down, little detail, but that's stuff you can do. And then finally it's just a limiter in case things went wrong. But yeah, you get the idea how it's worked. And then in the context of a track, it's really helpful with the transition. You're gonna hear this noise. If I play without, okay, and now if I add it, Now obviously some people don't like this washout effect. I like sometimes, but very gently. You can see you don't hear it that much. I use this one all the time almost for transition. When I feel like my transition lack a little bit of something, I use that because I don't really use SFX for transition in my track, but I like to use that. It's an easy way to create SFX. I also made in the video, I will put it in the description, with basically this rack where you can basically create SFX from any element of your tracks. For example, to introduce a lead or a vocal or hats, it's interesting to single out the element. You apply this rack, freeze and flatten, and then you got the reverb tail, you cut the beginning, and then you reverse and you have a SFX. It's a very quick way to make SFX that fit your track. So yeah, I'll put it in the description if you're interested. Now obviously the idea is to get a bit more creative and maybe try things different. And there is this device which is called pitch hack. First you might think it's like a shifter. You can just pitch and when you send, it pitch it. But the crazy things about this device, what I like the most, is you have a reverse, which basically reverse your signal in real time. So that's really create a nice effect. And then I just add a bit more delay and reverb. So this is something I will use more in the spontaneous way. You can also, like I said, pitch. If you like weird stuff, 6 semitone for techno, you might have. So again, this is something I will use more in the track from here and there. You can see in this track here, I'm using it from time to time. Just I'm sending it and you're gonna hear how it is first in solo. And then in the context of a track. So yeah, I love to do that. Now until now, I use kind of crazy effect chain. It doesn't need to be always that complicated. You can just use one device. For example, you have some weird device in Ableton. For example, the grain delay. This is the preset I made, which can... So this you could use maybe, yeah, a delay or a reverb just to make the effect last a little maybe. Here's another one. And you have also the spectral delay, which can be very weird. And you also have another preset of spectral delay. Which can be weird. So even if you're not familiar with the device, for example, with the grain delay, Ableton have cool preset by default where you can have like some weird effect and then you can start from there and experiment a little bit and make it your own. Another thing interesting you can do with return, it's basically, you can see here, you can actually send return to other return. So you can first send, for example, let's say we're gonna send our washout to our reverse delay. So you enable send, let me send to B. Maybe pitch it. But you can also send your return to the return itself to kind of create a feedback loop. So yeah, you can get really creative with returns. And me, I like to use them live when you perform live because it's a great way to add variation to your track, to kind of make your live track different than your original track and add an interesting things. It adds a live touch. It doesn't change too much from the original neither. And it's very fun. So in live performance situation, I love it because it's just win-win-win. You just like can mess around and add nice things and it's fun. And yeah, that's my favorite way to use return with the washout as well. All right, that's it for today. So I will put the return as a free download. The link will be in the description. And for my Patreon as well, I will add the different echo one and some of my personal presets. So yeah, if you want to support me as well, Patreon is a great way. Otherwise, you can just like and subscribe before to grab the free one. And see you next time. Bye-bye.